Alrighty, and just like that, we have officially kicked off the very first Siser After Dark class. I'm going to give a round of applause and a congratulations to everybody out there. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you so much for registering for this class and attending it today. We're very excited about this next phase for Siser of bringing you back to basics, that 101, all the way to the advanced techniques and how to use things. But you guys, we asked, you answered, late night lives are what you wanted. So we're going to start doing these webinars late night. So that's why it's Siser After Dark. Or for some of our friends that might be watching and it may be already morning for you, good morning. Hello and hello. And thank you also for tuning in. But my name is Patrick Ali. I'm the lead educator here at Siser, as well as a video production team lead. And we are excited to start diving into, number one, we're going to talk about the Juliet, which is also the same as a Romeo. I just bring the Juliet into frame because it's a little bit smaller to fit. And then we're going to talk about Leonardo Design Studio. I want to make sure that we do some housekeeping items just because this is the first class we're doing. So you guys kind of get an understanding of what the format will look like, what to expect, and then also we're going to need some stuff from you as well. So we're always going to ask those questions too. So to get us started here, some real quick housekeeping items. These are meant to be webinars that you guys can ask questions in depth inside these webinars. So I have the salt and the syllables himself, the grammatical gatekeeper, Adam Sneath, is hanging out in the back of the room, monitoring your comments. I've already seen a massive amount of Siser people in the comments, as well as brand ambassadors, educators for Siser, all of those kind of things. So we're going to answer every question that you have as best as we can. And then we're going to ask you to just keep asking the questions. So if there's anything right from the start, as you guys are chiming in, make sure to let us know where you're watching from. But also give us those questions now. If there's anything that's specific to Leonardo Design Studio, to the cutters that you want to learn about, start funneling them in and we'll make sure that we're answering them live. Secondly to that, each of these classes are going to be formatted a little bit differently. You may see myself as an educator here. You may see Cortez if we're doing more advanced techniques. You may see Stephanie if we're going to out-of-the-box kind of designs and things we can create with the world of Siser. So make sure that you're following along to the webinars, because after these, they will live on after the fact, but you got to be here to ask the questions. But also we're going to ask you to send us some stuff. So I want to do some of these late night classes since we're here. I want to be able to do some of these where we're using your design specific. So I may ask you to send those on over. And then for the next webinar, we're going to make sure to touch those kind of points. So we'll make sure that everybody knows what's going on. And over the course of a couple of these classes that we're going to be having, the Siser After Dark, you guys will get the format, hopefully enjoy it. So let us know where you're watching from. Let us know what questions you have. And we're going to get started just right out of the rip. Let's just hop directly in and start working. So I have the Juliet high definition cutter. And Adam, can you do me a favor really quick? Will you mind grabbing a Romeo just so I can show them the comparison? Whatever one's out there is fine. So I have the Juliet high definition cutter here. I'm going to just take this thing out of the box because the Romeo and Juliet are packed similarly, except for the caveat of one item. Okay. But I also want to show you the size comparison. So when you buy your Juliet, whether you're buying it from a retail store, or you're buying it from one of our beautiful resellers, distributors. Thank you so much, Adam. I appreciate it. No problem. There we go. All righty. I will put that right here for now. So whether you're buying this from a reseller, distributor, you found one on Amazon, you're buying it from a retail store, this is what the box looks like. It's a simple box setup. Everything that you need is in it. And it's a really, I will say, compliments to Keith, who designed the box. He's our VP of marketing. did an incredible job, and everybody that collaborated on making this presentation look awesome. Thank you guys so much. So anyway, we're going to hop into the box. The first thing that you're going to see in your box is going to be basically your welcome kit to your new high definition cutter. So this will have information like your user manual, as well as your QR codes to actually set up your software, things like your blades and all the kind of accessory stuff that we're going to go over in 1 minute. And then the next thing that comes in the cutter, fancy, nice, like eco-friendly packaging, we love that, is going to be your cutting mat. So I know that this is a big thing. We're going to call it out right now. I know that this is a big thing for a lot of you guys. In another webinar, we're going to actually address, number one, how to correct this so that it flattens out for you, and how to use your mat properly with your cutters. Remember, we're trying to stick to basic topics of 101 topics and then expand from there. So I don't want to jump too far into intermediate or advanced. Just want to show you the base of what we got. So inside the box, right after that, is our Juliet. Now, this is a brand new Juliet, so I'm not going to take all of the packaging off. I'm going to use this to show you what comes in the box, show you the comparison to the Romeo, and then after that is where we'll go ahead and I'll actually drop you over to another camera so we can go to the anatomy of the machine. But very important information right off the rip. On your wrapping for when you first get your Juliet, there's going to be a number, okay? And usually that number starts out with an SS, all right? And what this is this is going to be your serial number, okay? So you're going to need that when we get to registering our cutter. So once we go through the software and I show you kind of that workflow, then you're going to need that number because you'll have to input it into the cutter. So simple enough, I'm going to take off the little tape on the side, try not to rip it. So if one of you guys do buy one and you happen to get this, I'm not ripping up your packaging, okay? Turn it over to the side. We can just grab the packaging out. And what you will notice is that your Juliet is packed actually very well, I will say. For a cutting machine, I love that it's all wrapped up, so it really keeps everything nice and tight. But you'll have your Juliet high definition cutter. So congratulations, you already passed the first step. You took the cutter out of the box. And I know that there's a bunch of you out there right now, because I've gotten comments already of like, hey, this might get me excited to actually take this thing out of the box. So I'm very, very happy that we've taken that step together. So with that, you have your Juliet high definition cutter. I'm going to bring this just a little bit forward and bring in the Romeo so that you can see the biggest difference is clearly the size. So the Juliet is a 12-inch high definition cutter. You gain a little bit of extra room on either side of where a blade normally would sit, because the actual cutters, which we'll go over the anatomy in a second, the blade holder actually sits inside of the machine, which is pretty cool. But the Juliet's 12-inch, the Romeo is a 24-inch model, but for all of my Cricut Smart material people, this thing can cut. It cuts up to 25 inches. So feel free, if you have any of that stuff hanging around and maybe your other cutter's cutting a little too slow, hop onto your Romeo and you can definitely utilize that. So I'm going to put this one to the side for right now, and we'll come back to that in just one moment. But what I want to do is we're going to hop over to the actual Juliet camera, and I'm going to be able to go through all of the anatomy of this machine. So I just want to kind of show you guys. Number one, inside your accessory pack, put that to the side. Inside your accessory pack that you'll get with your cutter, you'll find a few different things. So number one, our power supply. Number two is going to be our power cord. Number three will be our accessories. And then number four is all of our documentation. So this is important information to know. You can open up the documentation. Inside, you will see right away a little card that has QR codes. And guys, we're already thinking about this in multiple different languages. So no matter where you're at in the world, you can hop in and start setting up your account right away, as well as the user manual. So this is going to give you the basic function, basic operations, table of context, understanding a little bit about your cutter in a readable form before you kind of dive in. So that's what you get in the information card. What you get over in the power supply is just your actual power bank. This has a cord that will attach to your power cord. And inside that bag, you'll have your actual power bank and power cord together. So now we know we can turn our cutter on once we're ready. Don't just yet, if you have your cutter out of the box right now and you're kind of going through these with me, because I want to just lay out a couple of little things to look out for, okay? With that said, we're going to now go into the accessory pack. In the accessory pack is really well packaged. It will contain your USB cable. So this is what you'll use to connect your Juliet over to your software, over to your computer. And then inside that are a couple of really, I mean, honestly, these are like perfect starter pack for your cutter. It's all the necessities. You have your blade holder, which will hold your designated 45 and 60-degree blades. So in every Romeo and Juliet, you'll actually get two 45-degree blades that are indicated by a red cap, and then you'll get one 60-degree blade, which is indicated by a blue cap. Now, a lot of people ask, what is the 45 and the 60-degree blade even for? What's the purpose? Well, here's the purpose. For a 45-degree blade, that kind of is your standard cut blade. That's what you're going to use for products like your Easy Weed and your Eco Stretch, as well as electric and all your thinner materials. Your 60-degree blade is for two purposes. Number one, first and foremost, it's a different angle blade, so it allows you to get much greater detail when you're cutting. Now, I will say this, the other reason why I like to use a 60-degree blade for pretty much everything is it doesn't matter what material I go to, whether it's an Easy Weed product or it's something like a Brick 600 that's a really thick, really thick material that will help to actually penetrate that material a little bit better. Now, very, very soon, there will also be a blade with a green cap on it, which is our deep cut blade. And we'll get into that next week when we actually launch it. But there's more blades coming, there's more accessories coming, and we're always making sure that we're hopefully enhancing and always improving our system. With that said, there's also a little tiny marker adapter. So we're going to kind of go over that in a second of what that is. But simple enough, we will take our Juliet, we'll put our power cord together, we'll plug it in. Now, the one thing that we want to make sure that we do before we actually turn on our machine, when your Juliet is packaged, there is 3 little white clips. Each clip surrounds one of the pinch wheels. Now, this is very important to understand with this process is that with those little white clips, if you don't remove them and you turn on your machine, you're going to get a real ratchet sound coming, a real jarring sound. So what I would always recommend, or what you should do, is remove those white clips first. Then you can turn your machine on and everything operates pretty good, okay? So with that said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually grab our blade holder, which comes into with our accessories. And inside of this already has a 60-degree blade. But what we'll do is we'll simply take our blade with our cap, and I'm just gonna put it inside that blade holder, just like that. Let it drop down. Now, this is a question that I get asked a lot, and I think we all do at Siser quite a bit. How far should my blade actually be advanced? Now, this might be a little bit difficult to see from this angle, but I tell people about the thickness, or we tell people here at Siser about the thickness of a credit card, or a really good indication would be if you can rub your finger kind of on the top without actually scratching yourself, but you know that you can kind of feel the blade is there, you're right on the right step. The next portion is test cutting, guys. Test cut, if you are cutting at what seems to be a very normal cut setting, but you're realizing that your blade might be cutting through your material, that's an indication it may be advanced out a little too much. So what we're going to do is we'll take this little silver screw, which is the main screw that will actually advance our blade or retract our blade. And once we're comfortable, again, about the thickness of a credit card advancing your blade, we're going to actually take this gold screw and we're going to lock that into place. And what that's going to do for us is that's going to ensure that this housing, this blade housing, doesn't shift or move. So all I have to do if I break a tip of a blade is remove that blade, put a brand new one in, and I know that it will fall perfectly into place every single time. So a good pro tip for these is mark your blades. If you don't have 2 of these, or you haven't gotten 2, grab a couple different blades for yourself. Mark one with 45-degree, one with 60-degree, and then one with a new deep cut option on it, because coming soon we'll have that as well. And our team did an awesome job at displaying a really cool graphic that I'm going to show you here in software in a moment, that is going to show you exactly how far, and it's a really good representation of how far that blade should be advanced out. So I want to hop back onto the cutter, and we're simply going to drop our blade into the C-clamp. So there's like a little tiny clamp that holds that blade in. Now, a lot of people, what they end up doing, let me go to a closer view of this, because it's easier to explain when you can see it, right? So there is a small little rib that's on our blade housing, okay? I mean, on our blade holder. When this drops into the position to house the blade, this little C-clamp has to make sure, we just have to make sure that that edge or that lip is above this little rib here, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow the cutter to grab your blade and push it down. A lot of folks I've seen or have asked questions where the rib is sitting on top of that little C-clamp. And what ends up happening is, number one, you don't get the appropriate clearance for your actual blade itself. But the other problem is you have tendency to have the ability for this blade to slip out of place, right? So with that, we just want to make sure that when we house it, that it's sitting on top. So the way that we're going to do that is we'll go ahead and we will, I'm just going to screw this back in. Sorry, this was for, this is the part where I say this is for demo purposes only. Don't unscrew this piece all the way. I like to just drop my blade down till it sits right on top of the C-clamp. And then I just simply pull that C-clamp out a little bit until the blade drops all the way down and I can push this blade down, okay? So once I do that, I'm just going to hand tighten it. Does not have to be super tight, okay? Just enough, like hand tight is good. So with that said, there's a couple things that I want to go over to the anatomy of the cutter. The first thing and foremost, if you are a Cricut user or a Silhouette user, you're not used to having movable commercial style pinch wheels, okay? So that's the number one thing that most people say with the cutters of the pinch wheels. With that, on the back side of your machine, there is a main lever that's behind where the LED screen is, okay? So this main lever in the down position will cause your pinch wheels to open up. And then if that is in the upwards position, that'll actually cause your pinch wheels to go down. Now, why do we have the pinch wheels go down? It's got to smash the material, so it can obviously advance the material, retract the material in and out of the machine based on what we're cutting. One big, I don't want to say mistake, but one big 101 tip that a lot of people get wrong at first is a lot of you guys have asked, well, hey, Patrick, or I see Ellie in the comments too, Ellie, why is my material shifting? Okay, and a lot of times a real good indicator of that, there's a bottom bar that makes contact with these pinch wheels, okay? That pinch wheel has to make contact with the grippier parts of this bar. If, say, my pinch wheel is on a smoother portion, this can cause my material or my mat to shift when we're cutting, which obviously gets us all frustrated, right? So with that said, with that, all you have to do is make sure that those pinch wheels always stay above the grippier parts of the machine itself when you are loading in material, okay? With that said as well, we have our blade already installed. We now know that our pinch wheels have to be above the actual grip wheels. It's time to kind of talk a little bit about how to load the Juliet. So I'm going to grab a quick cutting mat and open this on up here. And while I'm grabbing this and getting ready, let's answer a couple questions, Adam. Do we got any big permanent or like pertinent ones that are going?
There is a question here.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between the blue blade and the green one?
Oh, that's a really good question. So like I had kind of mentioned, the actual blade cap is an indication of what type of blade it is. So for Siser here, we always have a red cap on our 45-degree blades, a blue cap on our 60-degree blades, and then the brand new deep cut blade that will be coming very soon, actually next week. So make sure that you're checking that live out on Facebook. But the deep cut blade will actually have an indicator of a green cap. So it's really just to keep you organized, not only in your craft space or in your business space, but it's also a great way that I know right away, as soon as that blade comes in, if it's the wrong cap, I know it's the wrong blade that I need, or for me, right? So that's just a quick, I guess, a quick overview of what that blade is. And again, I have a graphic in software right now that I'll show you guys here in a second, once we get done with the machine, to kind of explain that blade and what those differences are, okay? Any other big questions, Adam, coming in? I know there's a lot, so I'm trying to I'm trying to answer them as we go.
There is another question.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you'll get into later, but it's about deciding where to start your cut settings when it comes to like paper.
Ooh, that is a really, really good question. And I do have an answer for that. And we'll get into that actually right now once we go over the user interface of the cutter. So I'm going to show you how to load first, go over the user interface, and then I want to answer that question specifically. So let's go over this really quick. Oops, sorry, right there. When we are loading our cutter, okay, there are two different ways that we can load our cutter. Number one, I have my mat right here. And then let's grab just a sheet of material. Right there. Okay. So I'm going to grab my mat, grab my sheet of material, and I'm just going to place my material on my mat. Now, you guys, most of you have a Cricut or a Silhouette, so you know how to load a mat and material, so I'll save you that hassle. But once we get into the HTV or the Heat Transfer 101, we'll definitely go over that step by step. From there, with my pinch wheels open, I'm going to simply slide my mat into place. Now, there's a couple of little indicators on the cutter that we've added in to help you out. Number one, there's a little guide strip. Okay, it's a gray guide strip. So I can definitely align my mat with that guide strip, and that will allow me to make sure that it's even and I don't get any shifting. Secondly, when we're using a mat, it has a straight edge. So what I can also do is take my fingers and push that edge up against the door edge, which will keep it straight and in alignment. So I'm using either the guide strip or I'm just simply pushing it up to the actual bottom of the door, which will then line it up for me appropriately. Or another thing that you can also do, which again works, but sometimes with the thicker mats it doesn't, is I can simply grab a mat and I can push it into my cutter. So with the pinch wheels in the down position, I can take my mat and I'm just going to place it up against each of the pinch wheels even, give it a little bit of pressure, not so much that I'm bending my mat, but enough to where I can really make sure I guide that mat in, hit the up button on my user interface, and then I can load my mat really easily. Okay, so it's just a couple different ways on how you can load your mat and load your material. Other way that you can do it is if you don't need it and maybe you're not doing cardstock, you're just doing HTV, just grab your HTV. If you have a straight edge, you can put it again up against those pinch wheels and simply hit the up button to load your material. Or if you need to, open up your pinch wheels like we just showed you and use that guide strip. It's always a great tool because you at least know that the edges, the sides of your material will be straight when you need it. So with that said, we're going to simply just load in our material. And I'm going to bring the blade down to the bottom left origin. So this is another big question we get asked a lot. With a Cricut or a Silhouette, you're used to utilizing the upper left origin point is kind of where your cutter will start to begin its job. For us at Siser, we have with the Romeo and Juliet, starts in the bottom left. Here's the reason why. Little bit of a pro tip that we got from the commercial cutter world is that when the material actually advances towards the front of the machine, we can catch those early mistakes, right? So we're not wasting a ton of material as opposed to me taking a mat, feeding it into my machine, waiting for everything to cut until it's all the way to the back to then take my mat out with my cut to realize, oh, there was a bunch of mistakes that happened that I couldn't see, and now I've wasted a bunch of material, right? So that's a really a quick reason or a quick explanation on why we use that bottom left origin. So I tell everybody, make sure that you advance your material until that blade is in the bottom, left corner, but about a ½ inch, quarter inch in and a quarter inch north, right? So we want to give ourselves a little bit of room, but the good news is with the Romeo and Juliet, you don't need it. Secondly to that, if you are a paper crafter, we have a light tack mat. And if you're a non-paper crafter and maybe you do require a higher tack, there also is a high tack mat that also goes along with the cutters that you can get as well. So you have mat options, okay, is what I'm trying to say there. With that said, I want to hop directly into the user interface of the cutter itself because I want to give you guys kind of the quick, simple explanation on why we've added certain things, but also answer that great question we just got about where do we start with cut settings, okay? Because we thought about that for you. So with that said, on the main menu of the user interface of your Romeo or your Juliet, okay, you will have a few different indication buttons on there, and you also have some navigation buttons. So with that said, number one, we have all of our basic navigations, right? North, south, east, west. We know how those work. With that, we also have a Wi-Fi connectivity. I'm sorry to say for anybody that loves Bluetooth, but we went with Wi-Fi because connecting to your home network or your business network is a lot more stable and reliable connection than it is with a Bluetooth, and that's what the other companies offer or the other brands offer. With that said as well, we also have a convenient home button. So if the actual head of the machine is done with a cut, so you can see him peeking out over there, I can simply hit that home button, and I'm going to show you the whole cutter just so you can see. When I hit that home button, what ends up happening is that head actually goes all the way back to the start position on the cutter itself, or what we like to call the home position. With that, we also have a test cut option on the home page. This is also available on the cut settings page, okay? So with that, you're gonna see this multiple times, and that's important because as my friend Stephanie says, test cut, test cut, test cut. So we added it in so that Stephanie had an easy way to say test cut, test cut. With that, we're going to run into the settings menu. Okay, I just want to really quickly go over the general settings. General settings are going to be things like being able to change your language. The cutters both have 5 standard languages that are uploaded into them, so you can observe that and change those at your discretion. Also, units of measurement. Because we're an international company, we like to do imperial and metric to give you options, right? Sometimes you're feeling frisky. Maybe you're an imperial person. And you're like, I want to dabble in the metric system. Well, you got the option now. With that too, we also have a sleep option. So you can basically save a little bit of energy, have that cutter automatically go to sleep if it's dormant for a certain amount of time that you choose. The other option, in one of my favorite options, are the alert menu. So one thing that we tried to do with the cutters is we tried to make them as adaptable to anybody's environment as possible. So there's a couple little indicators that are on here. Number one, there's a little LED effect. So you'll be able to see right here that LED kind of flash. What that allows you to do is once your cut is finished, it'll flash at you to let you know it's finished. So I always say if somebody might be a little bit hard of hearing, but not hard of sight, you can hop into that alert, and now you know, no matter where you are in your house, that this cutter is done if it's in obviously in sight. The opposite of that is we also have a really convenient chime effect. So you can hear that. Definitely not a microwave. That's the Juliet chiming at you. But this chime effect also will go off, letting you know that your cut is done. So maybe you're a little bit more hard of sight, but not hard of hearing, and still want to craft the same way everybody else gets to. Well, you can use these alerts and you can save yourself some time and headache, because now you know that this cutter will basically check you once it's done. You know, saying, "Hey, I'm here. I'm still working." With that, the next and final screen on the general settings menu is going to be the LED option. Now, this LED, you can actually turn down the LEDs on the cutter themselves, depending on what type of visibility you're in, low light or high light visibility. And you can make those adjustments, or I can simply turn it off if I don't need it. Here in the studio, a lot of times we keep it on to combat the studio lights when we are doing things like cutting. But because of these LED lights, it's added a lot more visibility to the cutter. So if you are somebody that is, say, a sticker maker and using laminate, or even especially the holographic laminate, you guys know as well as I do, the holographic laminate can be a pain. You now can adjust your light settings for that. The next setting that I'm going into, which is on the regular settings menu, is going to be the Wi-Fi. This is where you're going to be able to connect your home Wi-Fi or your business Wi-Fi. With that, I can simply scan my network, select the network that I want, and then import, or obviously put in the password so that I can connect to my network. With the caveat though, guys, if you have more than one Juliet or you have more than one Romeo, I can also adjust the IP address to each individual cutter. So now I can have a specific IP address assigned to a cutter, so I can cut to multiple devices or multiple machines kind of at the same time, or one after another. So with that, from a production standpoint, having that Wi-Fi and being able to adjust that IP address in real time to make sure that each cutter is identified is a huge golden ticket in my book. With that, we move into the camera. So this camera screen will be very familiar to you if you're a print then cut kind of person. So again, make sure you're watching and following along with the webinar series, because we will get to print and cut. And this screen we're going to talk a lot about, or more about quite a bit. With that, this, I'm going to do the overview of it. This will, once you're registering a cut, say a print and cut job, you'll actually see in real time that high definition camera at work, registering each of your registration marks. And you guys in the comments, you can comment in. I know that this has been something that people get like so lost in just watching the registration camera move. I do that all the time. And sometimes I get distracted during lives. That's why I'm not doing one right now. With that, this is also where you'll go to calibrate your machine. So if you ever need a print and cut calibration, there's a great video in software. I'll make sure to show you on the tutorials tab, but this will be the screen you use to be able to calibrate that. We actually had a question, is it 2.4 gigs or 5 gigs? If Tony is in, he can answer that. I want to say off the top of my head that ours is actually a 2.4, but we'll definitely make sure that we get that information for you if somebody is in the comments. With that as well, you have also your system info. So this is really pertinent to us at support. If you do call into support, we may ask you for some of this information. Secondly, this is also where you can factory reset your machine, okay? So with that, that is the basic anatomy of, our main basic workflow of the actual LED screen. Now I want to answer that really important question we had before about where do we start with cut settings. So there's a great cut setting menu right on the LED screen. And if I click into that cut setting menu, it's automatically going to pull up the last finished cuts. Okay. So with that, I have EasyWeed preloaded. I can go ahead and select EasyWeed, which will open up the full menu of cut settings. So we have HTV, which is heat transfer vinyl or heat transfer material. We have PSV, which is pressure sensitive or your adhesive vinyl. And then you also have that other tab. That other tab is basically all of the leftover stuff for Siser that we weren't able to fit into the other two pages, and then a couple of open spots. And people ask all the time, Patrick, why do you have all these cut settings and open spots? Well, here's the benefit of using a Romeo or a Juliet, is that you can actually adjust your own cut settings, guys, and what do you call, override them. So with that, I can click on an open setting till it's highlighted, hit rename, and let's say that I'm not using Siser specific material. Let's say that I'm going to go ahead and use, I'm going to use a sticker material. Okay, so I can actually put in sticker because this will be a cut setting that we keep in here all the time. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save. And then after I hit save, it'll go right back to the main menu, and I can see now my brand new setting available for me on the cutter. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one more time, which will open up that cut setting for me. And from this point on, this is where I can go ahead and adjust things like my force, my speed. And once I'm satisfied with the speed and force on my cutter, check this out. All I have to do is hit update. And then now I can update that cut setting. And I know permanently that that sticker material will always be set for me. And like I said, you'll see test cut options on every page that accounts for cutting. And that's really just to be able to check your work as you go. And if you guys say to me, okay, well, you got open spots, but what if I don't use EasyWeed? I don't know why you wouldn't use EasyWeed, but let's say you don't. I can go ahead and click EasyWeed. I can rename that cut setting, and I can also override those settings as well. So with that, no matter what size material or what material you're actually working with, you can change those cut settings really, really quick. Let me go ahead, just make one quick adjustment here. There we go. Hold on. We're getting one little piece of camera issue, and that's okay. We'll fix this here in a second. Okay. Perfect. That'll work. All right, we're going to make one quick adjustment here, guys, so that you can see me a little bit better, because now we're on kind of to the next step here. So you're going to see me adjust something real fast in real time. We're all doing this together because when tech stuff happens, we're going to fix it together. All right. We're going to go ahead, move that right there. And then now we can get back into some fun. All righty. So with that, we've now gone over the anatomy of the cutter. We've now shown you the basic workflow for some of the stuff on the cutter. And now I think it's time to kind of take you right into Leonardo Design Studio. We can learn a little bit about that. And then after that, we're going to be kind of out of here, guys. We're going to have some fun. We've had a lot to talk about already, but let's go into Leonardo, and I want to show you some of the workflow. So as I'm starting to get into Leonardo, and we're going to set this up here, Adam, do we have any big questions that are coming that we need to answer?
We do have a few questions coming in.
Okay.
One of them is about if Romeo and Juliet can engrave.
Ooh.
And
that's a really good question.
How deep it can engrave as well.
That's a really good question. So we do have an engraving tool here at Siser that you can utilize. You can get that separately with your cutter. We also have a crease tool. So in some lives coming up, or I'm sorry, some webinars coming up in the future, we're going to dive into one class just about engraving, one class just about creasing and etching and working with paper craft and making really cool things. So stick around for that and save that question for that live, because I would love to keep that with the engraving live. But I will say we do have an engraving tool. We have some things in software that you can utilize for your engraving tool as well. So we're going to get into that right now. So we're going to hop into software. Look at this. We got cool feeds. I'm making some fun stuff for you guys for these lives, or for these classes. So with that, inside Leonardo Design Studio, once we get to actually setting up an account or downloading the software, you can download the software by going to CaesarNA.com. And then on the Leonardo tab, and I'll show you really quickly here, SiserNA.com, sorry, and then you go to the actual Leonardo tab. Halfway down that page is actually going to be where you can download Leonardo. So let me just switch over to this camera really quick so I can show you exactly how to navigate that. So from here, we're going to go ahead and go into, let's see, Google Chrome, Siser NA, and then on our Leonardo tab here, whoops, maybe I should bring you over to the right screen. There we go. So on the main website, sorry, we're navigating technology, guys. All together, you have the Leonardo Design Studio page, and then you also have the Leonardo Design Studio Basic and Pro options, okay? So what this is going to allow you to do is click on there. About halfway down, you can download the software right from the website. And here's the best part, okay? I want to switch because I think this is a really important point to make. It's absolutely free. We don't ask you for a credit card to register. We don't ask you for anything. We just ask you for the pertinent information to set up your account. And then from there, you can actually hop into Leonardo Design Studio and you'll be able to register your cutter and everything from there. So once you get through the registration tab and you're able to when you're able to download your software, the next step is we'll be opening up Leonardo Design Studio. Now that may require you to start an account and set all of that up, but once we log into Leonardo, the first page you're going to come up with is the home page. Simple enough, okay? So let me go over and switch screens here for us really quickly so that you guys can see what I'm working with. So on the home page of Leonardo Design Studio, this is exactly what it is. We can bring anything to the forefront like new sales items, options for you as far as new color palettes and features and everything under the sun. With that said, I can go down from there and I can go into the tutorials tab itself, okay? On the tutorials tab, this is going to be the basic how-tos on everything. And what I mean by that is it's going to tell you things like your cutter features, how to set up your cutter, exploring the interface and everything under the sun, as well as some in software tutorials as well. And then we also are starting to add some support videos in there. So understanding your calibration, understanding your Wi-Fi connection, and all of those kind of things, okay, as well. With that said, what we are also going to have as we get past the tutorials tab, so we've learned about our cutter, we've set up our account, we've now saw the homepage, so we saw all the fancy stuff that we got going on at Siser. We went to the tutorials tab, we learned a thing or two about the software and about the cutter. Now we're going to start getting inspired for our design. So our graphic design team is an incredible team of people that are all always thinking of like the next cool thing that's out there. So very, very trendy, very awesome to work with all of them. But what they're doing is they're actually creating these designs. They're setting up these environments. They're all taking photos of them. And what you can do is find an inspiration. So let's do this, My Little Coach. I like this one. This one's fun. So I can actually open up an inspiration tab, see what the thumbnail looks like of the finished product. Then from there, I can go and see all of the supplies that I have to need, or I'm going to need to actually do this. And then I also have a blog style post from the Salt and the Syllables himself, Adam Sneath, who's actually making you guys aware of how to just use these, how to create these designs. And then from there, I can heart this design, save it for later, or just simply hit make it, which will take this design onto my actual design board. So really, really easy, not only to set up your account, register your device, but then also we're learning and we're starting to grab our files and starting to create things. And we haven't even gotten to the design page yet, guys. This is really incredible. With that, we also have an extensive library of designs. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out. There is all your basic designs are in here. So whether you're a Leonardo Design Studio Pro or basic user, you can access designs inside the design library. Anything with a simple heart is a basic or pro design. Anything that you see in the design library that might have like this little rocket ship in it, that right there is an indication that it's probably an AI generated design inside Leonardo Apprentice, which is our AI generating tool in here in software. And we've actually taken some of those and we've brought them into the software permanently for you guys to use and enjoy. And then also there's going to be an indicator, and let me see if I can find one quick, where there are some designs that have a little shield. This is just a Leonardo Pro specific design. That's really all that difference is. Now, we're always looking to improve. We're always adding more. We're always doing anything we can to enhance Leonardo Design Studio, enhance the design library, the tutorials tab, and everything. So there are sometimes designs that go from pro to basic, right? And there are sometimes designs where we take them out of your guys' suggestions and AI, which we let you know about, and we put those in software for you guys to always enjoy. But there is a Leonardo Apprentice tab. And what this tab basically is again, it's an AI tool. If you are a Leonardo Design Studio Pro user, you'll get a reoccurring 30 tokens every single month. For basic users, you'll start with a specific amount of tokens. Once those are gone, you do have the ability to buy tokens as well, or token packages. For a pro user, you can also purchase these at an additional cost to add in to your 30 every month. Now, if you don't use them, you lose them. But with that said, you still get a brand new 30 every single month. Okay, so either way, one token equals one prompt. Okay, so let's make sure that our prompts are they're what we want them to be, or the best that we want them to be, because we don't want to waste tokens, uncontrollably, which I have done many, many a times, I promise you. But you can also learn a little bit about AI artwork and what it is. We are very open with you about it here at Siser. Sometimes you might make a raster image and people have 15 fingers on one hand. That happens in AI. So we want to also bring that to the forefront and be open and transparent with you guys as well. From the design library, we're going to hop into the actual material library. And what I'm really excited about, oh yeah, Tony just hopped in. I saw him in the comments working on adding a lot more designs. Thanks, Tony. With that too, we have our material library. This right here is going to be your new best friend as a designer, especially utilizing Leonardo. Inside Leonardo Design Studio, we have gone ahead. We've added every single material that we have here at Siser. We've also added the actual swatch of each of those materials. Well, you're asking yourself, Patrick, what does that even matter? I mean, they're just a swatch. I can see the color, but that's not useful to me. Well, it is, because if I go and find a color I like, I can select it. And then from there, I get basically just a simple thumbnail of that color, so I can see color name, description about the actual color itself, or the material that I want to use. And here it is, guys. This is the reason why these are here in software. Not only can I learn about what products are laser friendly, shout out to all of our laser friendly products that we have in our lineup, but it also tells me what materials are layerable. What is an iron-on versus a pressure-sensitive vinyl or adhesive vinyl? So now I really get to understand how all of these things can kind of work for me, okay? The other thing is too, is what actual fabrics they apply to, all of these materials, as well as the instructions on how to actually use these materials themselves. Everything is right there laid out in front of you. So you have not only, we've gone through unboxing your cutter. So congratulations, guys. You've now officially unboxed your cutter with me here on the live, hopefully. And if not, right after the live. We've then gone into actually setting up an account. So once you get to that setup screen and you're done and download your software, once you download your software and get to set up your account, we're now starting to learn from the home page all the way down to the My page, every tip, trick, and tool we're going to need along the way. Okay, so with that said, we're going to hop right back in. And on the Siser Cutter page, so now we've set up an account, we have our software downloaded. Here's where I can actually go to register my machine. Okay, so I simply click on register a machine. And then once I pop that up, let me bring this on over here and I can show you really quickly. Once I have my machine, I can go ahead and register really conveniently, like I said, right from this page. And then also, this is another, let me change that one too, sorry. Hello again. With that too, if I have a craft heat press, I can also register that and submit my serial number for those as well. So this is where you can get started on actually going through the process of registration, okay? All righty, so with that, let me move this out of the way. And then let's get back into software. So on the My page, this is this right here is where you basically will have all of your account info. There's also a ton of little funny, cute avatars that you can select from. I'm going to actually select, I'm feeling like a heat press today, so I'm going to save that one. So now my new avatar is a little heat press. This is also where we can keep some of those designs we saved. Okay, so like I told you earlier, we were able to bring this on over to our design our design board. So now this will house in our design library files. Now this is a really important indicator, okay, a really important piece of information. Leonardo Design Studio is a hybrid type software, which means that portions of the software are web-based portions, meaning you need internet or you need a network connection, and other portions of the software are physical downloads, like actual applications in the computer. So with that, anything from the home page on down to the My Page are all web-based applications. So what I need for you guys to do is, if you are somebody that doesn't like networking or connecting devices to your home network, totally okay. You just have to log into your network at least once every couple of weeks to have your system update with all the new things. Secondly to that, we push all of our software updates through Leonardo as well. We definitely let you know publicly when there's updates, but also in Leonardo, you'll have some indications that you might need to update your software. So just make sure every couple of weeks we're back onto a network so that we can ensure that we're connected properly and we're getting all the updated designs, all of that information, okay? So now that we've gone to that, it is time to hop back in and go to what you guys all came here for, okay? Learning about the design tab itself, okay? So I'm gonna go through a couple of things here on the design tab and show you kind of what you can expect when you first open up your software. So anytime you open up your software, you'll notice there is a 12 by 12 cutting mat on the page. This is for all my Cricut and Silhouette users that are used to using a cutting mat. We didn't want to put anything jarring in the software that would deter you from trying it out. So we want to have the convenience of a platform that kind of looks like what you're familiar with already, right? So you can also, with this mat on screen, I'm going to just go to the artboard and cutting mat menu. So we're just kind of staying right in the spot. I'm going to actually get rid of the properties menu so that we can't even view it. With that, on the artboard and cutting mat menu, you can select from a few different size cutting mats depending on what you have. So if you're somebody that has a Cricut Joy, we have a mat in there for you. If you're somebody that has some of 15-inch material, we have a 15-inch mat in there. We also, for the Silhouette users that have the big 24 by 24-inch mats, we also have that available in software. So no matter what platform you're designing to, we can help you out and we can obviously show you that visual representation in software. With that, I'm going to go back to the standard because there's a couple little things that we have too. You can hide your grid if you don't want it for whatever reason. You can also make the background a little bit darker if you have some of those lighter white elements in your design. And watch how fast this is to get into print and cut. I select it. My page is already on screen for me. I hit my page marks and I'm already 60% of the way there to do my print and cut design. So again, make sure that you're following along the web series because we will be doing a whole tutorial on print and cut. And this is going to be a very important step or a very important page for us to look at that time, okay? With that, I can also just remove the cutting mat and work on what we call a material roll. Well, the reason why we wanted to do the material roll for you was the fact that you could actually designate the size of the material you're working with. You can make that in software. So let's say the standard size of material out there for you guys is 12 inches wide by 36 inches. So I'm going to go 12 inches wide, 36 inches. And just like that, I was able to create a 1 yard piece of material that I can start designing for, okay, or designing with. Just makes my life a lot easier. It allows me an opportunity to kind of see how much of that page I'm using or what I'm using on that design page. So I'm going to just bring this back to 12 inch. So we're not bombarding the software too much. We also have a really cool ruler option. So the hotkey R will actually bring up rulers. Oop, there we go. We'll bring up the rulers on screen for us. And these rulers are all movable. So I can drop that ruler down and get real accurate measurements of some of my designs as well. I did see a question right there, and I've seen it a couple different times. Is this video going to be posted somewhere after? Yes, these will get posted after. However, obviously the live questions are the big piece of this. So you guys get to ask questions live. You can always view this content later on. We're working on right now for this first one where all of this information is going to house. Because I can already tell we're at about 48 minutes. We're probably going to go to a Leonardo Design Studio Part 2. And we'll probably format this to be twice a month as opposed to once a month is what we had planned. We'll probably go to twice a month because you guys want the info. You know what I mean? You want the info. Somebody said the rulers can move. That's awesome. Yes, the rulers are movable. And I know that it sounds like such a minuscule thing to some people, but to some, that's a really important step. That's a really important tool to have in software amongst anything else. So with that, let's go ahead and get rid of our artboard and cutting mat. And I'm just going to bring a simple shape on screen because I want to show you some things on the properties menu. Now, as you can see up top, we have multiple tabs running. So in Leonardo, you can operate on multiple tabs and save your artwork on multiple tabs. Now, an indication of that, I almost told you, gave you the goods. I was going to show you the blade thing in a minute. With that, being able to open up multiple tabs and saving multiple tabs just makes it easier to work on a bunch of projects at one time, okay? Tim asked, can Siser cutters be used for cutting fabric? Yes, they can. Yes, there's a ton of stuff out there. Swift Creek Customs, I know she's done some stuff. Stephanie says has done a lot of stuff on cutting some fabrics up. And pretty soon we're going to be doing a lot more fabric cutting. So stick around for that one too. All right, back to Leonardo Design Studio. I'm going to actually open up the questions here in a couple minutes, guys. So start getting those questions going because we're almost done. And then we're going to get right into the Q&A portion of this. And then we'll be able to end this live. And hopefully you guys have learned a lot today. With that said, I'm going to go into the properties menu. Now, properties menu, we have layers for you guys. So there is a layers panel. This is also where you can hide your layers or hide different pieces of your layer. You can also lock things into place so you can't move them anymore. This is a great thing. And then you can also, let's say that I have two elements. Up here, one is black and one is purple, and I want to go to my layers panel and I want to take this purple and create a new layer. Well, all I have to do, number one, I can double click the name and change it to the color name. So if I were to share this file with a friend, they can open it up and they'll already have the color names populated there. But I can also take the color that I want, hit the plus sign, and now create that into a brand new layer for myself. Okay, so really, really easy way to operate with different layers when you are designing. With that said too, we also have a CMYK color wheel. So it's a full color spectrum. The outside option or the outside ring allows you to select all of your base colors. And then from there, the inner portion will allow you to select any hue or shade of that color. So we can really hone into those Pantone colors. Now, if any of you guys have the Pantone specific colors, like a hex code, say you're doing a local sports team, right? In which we're going to get into a sports one too. I got so much planned, guys. I'm trying not to give away the tea, and everybody that watches this normally knows that I give away too much info. So I'm trying to control it here today. Be concise and consistent for you guys. So with that, we can actually select this little color window, and this will bring up hex code thing. So I can put in that very, very specific Pantone color, make sure that I hit that every time. And then the team that I'm working with or the company that's getting a design from me can be super, super pumped and happy that I hit that color exact, okay? With that too, if I have multiple, let's say I have multiple colors in a design, and I'm just using basic shapes because it's the easiest to understand, okay? So let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring this to the back of that shape. And then this one's going to live over here. So what I can actually do inside Leonardo Design Studio is I can select the color that I want. I can go ahead and click this little settings gear on the side and hit select same color. Now from there, what ends up happening is those two colors now are kind of attached to each other. So I can either group them together if I want. I can decide to weld them if I want and make my life a lot easier when I am designing. So it causes me not to have to go back to like square one to actually be able to create all of these different shapes and stuff. With that said too, we also have a couple other options. Let's say that I want to change this black square to the same color of this purple that I'm using on screen. I can go ahead and select the black square because this is the item that I want to change the color of. I'm going to go in and select the eyedropper and use that eyedropper tool on whatever color I want. Okay, so it makes it really easy to also pick out little tiny elements inside your designs and also change those colors really fast and conveniently for yourself. Okay, so moving on to the next step or next piece of our puzzle here of our navigation through the world of Leonardo. We also have different ways that we can treat artwork. Okay, and I want to show you this kind of specific. Now, again, I'm going to get into more of a paper craft at a different time, but somebody just asked, where can you find the shoebox file? We actually have a shoebox file that I'm going to use for this next thing, but it is indicated right here. Adam, maybe you can pop up this ID number in the comments. The shoebox is ID number 4548. I'm sorry, 44548. I apologize. So 44548. So you can get this little shoebox. I can open this design. And as you notice, unlike a normal design or a standard design that you would use, this shoebox has a couple different colors of lines that you can operate with. So we have not only the structure of the shoebox, the main portions of it, but we also have all of what we're going to use our crease or our fold tool for. So what I'm going to do is I just want to show you this really quickly, because I think that this is a really convenient, fast tool to be able to change in between your cuts, okay? So with that, I'm going to take the outside part of my box. I'm going to go to my default cut, and this is a little menu on how to treat each of these individual pieces of your design. So we know that in this box, I have a portion that needs to be cut out of cardstock, and then a portion that I want to use that scoring tool so that I can fold that box up really clean without tearing or ripping. So with that, I'm going to change the cut to the outside of the box to keep it as default. And this is already changed for me, but this yellow line will be indicated as my fill or score tool. Or I'm sorry, my fold or score tool. What that'll do is that'll stop me at halfway through my cut, say, hey, you need to change your blade because I see that you have two blades or two pieces that you need. I'm sorry, two pieces of equipment that you need to actually make this happen, okay? So there are some different options inside that menu as well that you can use to hopefully make your life a little bit easier. With that as well, from here, this is also where you can adjust things like whether an item is a stroke, meaning that it's just a outbound contour, like a wireframe version of that, or I can fill it into a solid color as well. With that, I can also change the thicknesses of my lines, and then I can change the width and height right from this menu. So your two main navigation menus are on this side panel or on this plane, okay? And we make it very, very easy to navigate and work for. All of these options are also available at the top of the software on each of these individual tabs in software, okay? So with that, let's go on over to really quickly the actual tools, what each of them kind of do, and then we'll be able to wrap this up into Q&A. With that, we have your basic select options. It's just the boundary select or to be able to click select. Either way you do it, you can select any way that you want inside Leonardo. The other option that we have, oops, I'm going a little ahead of the thing. The other option that we have in here too is our actual edit curve. So let's say that I go to really, really close on this square. Here we go. I can go ahead and hit those edit curves, and this actually creates what are called nodes. And nodes are little points that create your full shape, which then ultimately create your design. So if I do want to delete any nodes, let me back up just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I can go ahead and double click one to remove it, or I can simply double click to add a node, and then I can make adjustments to my artwork as I see fit. Okay, so this is just a way that you can edit all those little points. With that, we have our eraser panel. I really like our eraser panel because it's very easy to navigate, very easy to understand, okay? With our eraser panel, let me just make a couple of copies of the shape because I want to show them all in one. We have our basic erase tool. So some of these are basic features and some of these are pro features. So I'm going to actually switch over to Leonardo Basic really quickly so we can work within that panel. So as you can see, there's some tools that go away, erasers being one of them, that are a pro specific item. But then you also have the ability to still change your points and make your adjustments and manipulations from there. Okay. And again, we're always looking to improve, always looking to take things and add them and subtract them and all that kind of stuff. So more to come on that portion of it. But I want to show you, if you are a pro subscriber and you do have those tools up, I can go ahead and simply select the irregular eraser tool. I have the option to use it in a square form or a circular tip. Also have the ability to change the size of the eraser itself. And then one of the other things that I love about this is that normally when we're erasing, the lines can get a little jagged, right? They can get a little crazy on us. So we've actually added an awesome option in here as a line tool. And what that does is I can draw a line in any direction and go ahead and erase through or score through a design. But I want to show you this part of it because I think this might be a little advanced, and I know I'm not supposed to go that far, but I think this is really important. I think you'll enjoy this. If you do ever have, let's say, let's create a hole in here really quickly. So if I ever want to create like a hole in a design, I have some manipulation options down here in my weld tool. So I can weld my objects together. I can remove the front of an object, meaning just knock out the front from the back. I can also, for all of my people in here that does the likes the fake layer, I can also do that here as well. I'll select both of them. Move over that one. There we go. I can select both of these. I can go down to my weld options, and I can also hit stamp keep, which will knock out the front layer, but will keep all of my layers in my design. Okay, so this is going to be what you would use to do like your fake knockout method, if that makes sense. Also, too, on this menu, the reason why I wanted to kind of give you this or show you this menu is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a hole here. So let's do stamp keep. And then I'm going to move this over to the side, and I'm going to bring that black square behind this this yellow element. So listen, so this is how this kind of works. So check this out. I love the way that this operates. If I want to remove something from just this black square, okay, I'm going to select that so I can see that it's been selected. I'm going to go down to my eraser tool and I'm going to draw that eraser directly over this whole design. Now, what you saw in real time happen, and I'll do it one more time for you, is it will actually only erase what I have pre-selected, or I'm telling the system, hey, I need you to erase this for me, okay? So if you do have overlapping images, it will not erase the top image as long as the bottom is the one that you're selected, okay? Just in case that didn't make sense visually, I wanted to kind of explain it through a little bit as well. On that eraser panel, let me remove that one. There's also a really, really convenient knife tool. So for all my folks in here that like to do the slice in Cricut, you also have a really easy slice tool to be able to separate your images in Leonardo Pro. With that too, we also have a hole eraser. So let's say I made a mistake. I can go ahead and I can fill in those mistakes really, really easy just by a quick swipe over that cavity or that hole. Now, I will say that the hole has to be complete. And what I mean by that is that I can't, let me just take this. I cannot remove these two. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the front. This is not a complete hole. So I wouldn't be able to fill this portion in. But the reason why I was able to do it with, let me just go back with here, is because this is complete within the shape. Okay, just want to make sure that I'm talking, talking through these as well as showing you these too. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill that in. The next eraser tool is just a vector brush. So what I can do is change again the tip size and all of that kind of stuff, and I can draw it through a design. And what this will actually do is separate a chunk of my design as well. Makes it really easy for me. Okay, with that, there is the text options. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop at the text options so that I can go to your guys' questions, because I want to do a part 2 on Leonardo, and we're going to get really advanced into some of these tools and what they mean. So I'm just going to go over to the text panel. I want to show you the basic workflow of the text panel, and then we're going to actually stop this and do a part 2 of this exact webinar and kind of continue our world of Leonardo. I'm going to ask you guys probably for a design too, and we'll use that specifically to show you some of these big business things. So with that, thank you, Kristen, for saying I blew your mind. I appreciate that always. So with that, let me go over the text panel really quick before I get too far in the weeds, and then we'll do Q&A, okay? So our text panel is really awesome. All I have to do is select text. I can type in whatever I want, okay? It's my new word for the day. That's going to be our word for this class. So let's use the word Siser. Keep it simple here. And then I can go through all of my system fonts, okay? So I want to make sure that I make that very, very clear. Inside Leonardo Design Studio, we do not ask you to subscribe to Pro, so we can tell you that we're giving you a bunch of assets and elements in smoke screens, okay? Simple enough. I'm going to be very open and honest with you guys about this. You guys have plenty of sources that you find your fonts and your designs, whether it's Creative Fabrica, DaFont, Shirt Space, anywhere that you're getting all of your fonts from. You get to keep your own stuff. We don't want to keep it. We want you to keep it. So when I say system fonts, it means anything that you've actually downloaded from your, DaFont or Creative Fabric or whatever software or whatever you like to use to find all your fonts. Those will be preloaded. There are at this time, no specific Leonardo Design Studio fonts. Again, we'll probably add something like that in later, but we didn't want to add that in up front because it's not fair to you guys, of people that are using your hard-earned money to use this for business. We want to give you the freedom and the options. So with that, I can go ahead and select through all of my different system fonts. Here's the kicker though, what we've added in that I have not seen anywhere else, and maybe I have, maybe I haven't. So with that, show glyphs. So you can actually click on the show glyphs option, and this will give you every single individual element of that font. Oh, you know what I just did? I just did something fun. I didn't actually bring up the software so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry. So with that, the show glyphs option, which allows you to see every single element within Leonardo Design Studio, or within that specific font package, okay? So with that, there's also another thing for anybody that does script, okay? So you guys know with certain fonts, and let's see if this is one of them. I'm gonna go into a wireframe of this font. Okay, so most of your script fonts that you download look a little bit like this. Individual glyphs are added and overlapped to create what you see visually as that font. But if I were to ungroup all of these letters, I can pull them all apart separately, which for some, that may be what you want. However, one of the cool things that we've added in that text tool is to go ahead and actually auto weld all of our text. So what we've done now, and let me actually duplicate this one so I can show you this both ways. So one of these, the top one will not be welded together. The bottom one, I'm going to go ahead and select that weld text. And then when we go into a wireframe, you can now see the difference in these two. This has overlapping shapes, which again, when we cut, if we don't fix this before we get to the cutting step, these shapes will also cut into all of these letters, causing a big problem for us. Secondly, if we auto weld all of those shapes together, all of those letters together, we now have a much cleaner font, and we also have a much cleaner cut when we get on to that step. Okay, just making sure, just want to make sure that that makes sense for everybody. And then I'm kind of taking that slow for you guys to show you each piece of it. Okay, with that, I will go into the next piece of our text tool, which is one of my favorites. So let's say that I'm creating a custom shirt for somebody. I'm doing a name on the back. Okay, this is a cool arc or text on an arc. Or you know what, better yet, let me bring a quick circle up here, because this will make a lot more sense. So for any of my friends out there that are like me, that like making painted wood signs and love stenciling, I do a lot of round wood signs for like families and stuff like that. So I'm going to go ahead and change actually the color. Let's get more of a crispier brown, more of like a, there we go. That's more of a wood sign look. Again, I'm going to go to my layers panel and I'm going to actually lock that circle so I can't move it. And here's the best part of that text on a arc. I can go ahead and bring this in. I'm just going to scale this up a little bit so we can see. I can put the point of this text in the center of that circle, and then I can use the actual line to drag that arc a little bit wider if I want. So this one, I'm going to put the Ollie family. I'm going to change my font to something fancy McSchmancy. That looks good to me. I can also adjust my font. And I know for some of you folks that probably follow along a little bit in beta right now, for all of my friends out there, it is happening. There is character spacing. There is text spacing now that we are going to be having stable here very, very soon. So it's in beta right now. We're testing it out, making sure everything works. But now I'll be able to actually adjust the space in between my text. So you spoke, we listened, we fixed it. We're happy about it. We love it. So now I've gotten the part that I want in the family sign. Now let's say that I want to also add an established date. Well, what I can do is in the same text tool, just hit enter like you would on Microsoft Word. And I can put established, let's go 2014, which I believe that's when I got married, somewhere in there. And then now I can center that, hit apply. And then I just need to change the color of this to black. And just like that, we were able to add that text on an arc. Okay. Roseanne said I'm going to have to watch and take notes. Go for it, sister. And like I said, these are going to be posted up as well at some point in time, so you'll be able to see that. Okay. Last part is going to be the text on a path. So I know a lot of you guys have asked, especially the sticker makers out there, of, you know, we like to brand our stickers, but we need somewhere where we can kind of brand it within the sticker, but not being in the way. So let me go ahead and we're going to make a sticker out of, let's do it out of the love. Okay. Maybe my sticker company, I like making fun stuff for Valentine's Day. I can select my design, go down to my text tools and hit text on a path. Again, do the @Siser North America on Instagram. Make this a little teeny tiny. And now I can actually draw that all the way around this text until I get really comfortable with what it looks like. Make sure it's all even. I can also change how far away from my design it is, or also how close to my design this is as well, really easily. And then once I'm done and I hit apply, I've now created not only my sticker, but also my branding. So the next person that wants to buy from me knows exactly where to go right away. So, but while you're here though, follow us at Siser North America on all platforms. Do me a favor, just follow us. It's fun. Alrighty, so that's going to conclude part one of Leonardo Design Studio. We were also able to cover the cutters really, really well. We were able to cover the Juliet. The only difference between the Juliet and the Romeo, besides the larger scale, okay, besides the bigger one, right? The only big difference is going to be the actual pinch wheels, where the Juliet has 3, the Romeo has 4 pinch wheels for you, okay? So with Diane Polk said, "You're killing me." What am I killing you with? Well, hey, listen, we got to do this in a part 2. All right, we don't want to overload the system too much. Give you guys some time. I got some homework for you. Get into Leonardo Design Studio. If you haven't registered for it yet, you haven't set up your account, make sure that you do. And before the next time we're in, because you guys can actually play along with me while we're inside Leonardo Design Studio, or while we're crafting together, and we're learning how to elevate our designs, take them to the next level. And you never know, maybe, I know a couple of people have asked about the jersey, and I have refused to mention it just yet, but shout out to Cortez for the design. Maybe we'll show you how to make this, and I'll make sure, I might have to bring Cortez in, show you guys actually how to make a cool jersey, show you guys how to make sports apparel, how to make that branded apparel, how to make promotional apparel. These lives are meant to help you guys. So I'm gonna hush really quick. We're going to go over to Adam. I know I see a few different stars here. This first one, we're figuring it out. You guys know who watches regularly. I talk way too much anyway. So now we're going to go into some Q&A so we can answer specific questions that you guys have. Let's hit it, Adam. What do we got?
Do you want me just to hit like the show button?
Yeah, hit the show button while you're explaining them. For sure.
This is Leonardo Design Studio vector-based with the design in rest or also.
Ooh, that's really good. So as of right now, vector-based, but you never know. You never know what we come up with. You never know what we do later on. But I will say, though, it handles vectored images really well. You know what I mean? That's the other thing about Leonardo. It's not, if you do, and that's the other part, too, that we like to tell people. If you're comfortable with, say, like an Adobe Illustrator, and you're looking for a high-definition cutter that can execute your designs flawlessly, you can also design in other softwares and just import it into Leonardo Design Studio. And what I'm going to ask you guys at the end of this live, so stick around, is a quick action item for the next time that we meet or the next class, so that we can actually dive into showing you how to manipulate your own artwork. So I'm going to be asking you guys for some of yours. What's the next one here?
How does Leonardo integrate with other design programs?
That's a really good question. Kind of a secondary part 2 to the answer I just gave. Leonardo Design Studio, you can import a major file types, so SVG, PNG, JPEG, TIFF files. So with those major file imports, you kind of can design whatever you want, bring it on into Leonardo, just hit that import button. Secondly to that too, if you're a Leonardo Design Studio basic user, you can save your designs in a native file outside of your software. So no more of this beholden to my Cricut and I can't take any of my designs out. Take them with you, share them with your friends. If you're a Leonardo Pro user, you can export your designs. I don't really have to tell you the workaround here, but if you're a basic user, you got a friend that's pro, have them export your design, send it over to you, and then you have your design. Pretty easy stuff to do, but if you are a pro user, you can also export in PNG, PDF, SVG, TIFF file, and a PLT. There's one more in there. Hold on. Let me grab that one. I don't want to tell you guys any wrong info. So SVG, PDF, PNG, JPEG, and a TIFF file. So you have major file types that you can actually export. And let's show you really quickly here in software. So you can see on screen right now, I can save in those, or I can export in Pro in those major file types for myself. Alrighty, what's the next one we got there, Adam?
Let's see. Are you going to explain how to trace an image next time?
Yes. So the next one that we're going to get into, the reason why I stopped at the text tool is because we're going to get into the weeds when we talk about the engraving line tools, when we talk about how to set up an SVG, convert it to a PNG, or convert it for a print and cut, show you how to do all of that kind of stuff. And then we have some other really fun panels that are coming up that I really want to dive into. This was a basic overview of the software and of the cutters, just to kind of get us established with the 101 information. The next class, we're going to kind of take it a little bit further and start navigating down the world of actually creating a design. So yes, we will definitely.
Here's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a material roll set, can you create a gang sheet?
Ooh, so you can. Okay, so I'm going to answer okay, so here's what I'll do. Let me answer those last two questions because you guys know my brain will be thinking about this for weeks now. I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can actually create files really quickly. Multiply your files very quickly in Leonardo, but also I want to show you really quickly how to import a design as well. So let's go back into Leonardo. I'm going to go ahead and find, let me just import. Let me see if I can find something in here that's going to work for us. So let's do, here we go. This right here is a PNG file that I actually sent to a friend of mine to do a portion of it in DTF, and then I actually used heat transfer material for the fill-in portion. So right now, this is a PNG file. Actually, we bring up the last question first, just so it's aligned with the video. And then we're going to get to this gang sheet one with the same design. So now with the PNG file, we'll pop the question back up about the image tracing here in a second, just so you guys know when you're at this point in the video, you can watch it. When I bring in my PNG, there's two ways that I can handle my file. Number one is creating either a print and cut, which means that I'm going to be cutting out this image, or the other portion is creating a background image only, okay? And what that basically means, I'm just using this as a background use case to actually be able to see inside software. With that, we're going to select print and cut, go on to the next screen, and as you see, it automatically starts to mask out that background and remove some of those elements for us. And you can also get as close to the design as possible so that you can also increase that mask tolerance and really try to remove some of those harsh edges in your designs as well. Now, you can select from a color range too, so let me actually view all. I can remove a piece of the image if I want. Here's the cool part. Not only does it remove that, but because it's just creating kind of a mask around it, you can actually go back and find that color and add it back in the event that you make a mistake. So it's really easy to fix your mistakes if that happens. Now, next screen is going to be simply just smoothing out the design, bringing my cut line in real time and slapping it on my image. So it's just scanned my image, it brought my cut line in, and I have some options that I can do here. Now, number one, I can include all the holes, which are all the little tiny cavities and stuff. In this case, the good vibes is what actually went in here. This will be cut out of heat transfer and utilized with this design as well. Or I can deselect those, remove holes, or include holes, and just cut the outside boundary of this particular design. Now, next screen is going to be simple enough, my contour offset. So I can actually build the offset bigger. So let's say I'm going to make a sticker and I want to leave some white space on the edges so it's easy to peel. I can actually, in real time, adjust my offset to my image too. And then once I'm done and I'm happy, I'm going to hit finish, and it will automatically go to my page. This is ready for print and cut. I have my registration marks, and if you notice, registration marks actually hover around your image to start. But let's say I want to flood this page. So we had the next question was, how do we create a gang sheet of these, right? So I can actually scale down my image a little bit. I'm going to take my page marks and I'll add them to the corners. So now I'm utilizing the full screen or the full page. And then I can hit a fancy tool. Again, we're going to get into this a little bit more. So I don't want to get too far into the weeds with this conversation, but I have a great tool inside Leonardo Pro called Tile Array, where I can simply auto fit, and it will automatically start to select how many quantity of this design will fit within the boundaries of that page for me. I can also do things like adjust the spacing in between each of these designs and hit the auto fit again to increase how many I have access to. Okay, so now I hit apply, and now my print and cut gang sheet is already ready to go. Done. And if I want to add in multiple designs in here, I can always do those. I just import those in individually. And then from there, what I'm able to do is I'm able to just place those into my design. So what other questions do we got, Adam?
Let's see. When you have a multicolored design, do you have to trace each color separately?
When you have, okay, so for that one, I'm going to answer it two ways based on what your question is. So one question would be, if you have a multicolored design that is a vector image, meaning that it's set up for more of print and cut, do you have to trace each individual piece? No, that'll trace your entire image. If it is something where you're just uploading, say, like an SVG file, which you typically would use just for cutting, so just heat transfer material, that one you don't have to trace separately. Typically, your images already come layered, and then all you'll have to do is ungroup, and then you can place all of those. So before the next class, if you're going to join us for the next one, who is that? Mina, maybe reach out to me, social@SiserNA. You can drop that in the comments, Adam, if you want. Or actually, I can add it up to the banners here really quick. Social@SiserNA is where you can also contact me too for that kind of information. Maybe drop that question to me at the social account so that the next class that we do, I can make sure to address exactly what it is you're looking for, and I can make sure to show you in depth, okay? This is also social@SiserNA is where I'm going to ask you guys if you are planning to attend the next one, and I know I'm going to absolutely bombard our social team, so I apologize to Anna, I apologize to Adam, I apologize to myself because we all monitor this. Send me SVG if you have business logos or you might have a particularly tough project you're working on. send me an SVG or a PNG, depending on what your outcome is trying to be, to social@Siser.NA. What we'll go ahead and do in the next class is we'll maybe, or not the next class, but the class after that, we'll be able to pull up some of these designs in real time and really dive into what your issues are, what's happening. Make sure if you don't do it now, once we post that live where we're going to go in depth, we'll make sure to put into the description to pre-send us your designs, and then we'll try to pull everyone that we can, or the most that we can, to obviously make that really successful for you. So just one other place that you can send that information to. All right, next question. What do we got?
All right, Gregory's here.
Okay.
Regarding the last process you showed, does
Yeah.
it work for memorial photos?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So you're talking about if, unfortunately, if somebody's deceased, it doesn't work on those types of photos or any type of memorial photos. Yes, you can bring in actual photos. So like one thing that I like to use inside software, and I'll show you really quickly. Let me go ahead and delete all of this. This is the only reason I'm showing you this is because this is an actual photo like image, okay? So for me, a lot of times what I like to do is I like to go onto the Googs, onto the good old Googles. I like to find a t-shirt that fits the style that I'm looking to create basically a mock-up of, okay? So this is an actual photo, as you can see. It's a real human being in there. I can either select background image and hit next, just like that, or let's say that this image itself, a client, unfortunately lost somebody, they have that one photo that they can use, right? And that's the one that you have to work with. You can also import a photo, just like we'll show here. And I can go through the print then cut screens, and I can start to remove the background and mask out pieces of that image, so that when I get onto the design board, so I'm just going through the screens like normal, and because I'm just looking to remove that, I don't want to add a contour, I don't want to do anything else, I'm just going to hit finish, okay? Now I'm going to pull up the dark background so you can see this is a removed background image, and all I simply have to do is deselect print and cut. And now this image is a living image inside software. And this is an actual photo of a model that's modeling. We'll go to the chin. I promise you the beard is real. The facial hair is real, people. So with that, I use these a lot for mockups, but you could definitely use them for the exact purpose that you're talking about, for sure. What's another question we got coming in?
Going back to fonts for a moment.
Yeah.
Is there a feature to do a wave font or a wave with?
Ooh, see, listen, you guys are wanting me to go ahead too much. All right. Yes, there are some options in software, and you know what? We're here now, so we're gonna answer the questions. Okay. I know. Sorry, Johan, if you want me to keep these short, but I think these are important for the people, and I know you think it's important for the people too. So the question was the wave font. So a lot of times people love the new wispy wavy. I always attribute to like 4th of July or like summer chill. It's always like a cool little wave font. So with that, let's bring up a standard font. Who was that asked? Beth?
Yep.
All right, let's go, Beth. We're going to add your name, Beth, and then how do I spell the last name on there? I can't see it up there. Menzel. Ooh, Menzel. All right, so let's select the font for Beth, Menzel. Let's go here, and I'm just going to stick to a simple font just for the sake of the conversation. So sorry, Beth. But I'm going to go ahead and remove that. There are a lot of different warp options that you have available in Leonardo Design Studio Pro. So we're going to use Beth's name for this one. And make this really, really easy. I'm going to actually change this board to 20 inches, and I'm going to duplicate Beth's name, not the manual way like I just did, but remember, I just showed you guys tile array. Hit that tile array, auto fit, and now we got a bunch of Beth's name. Now we don't need that many. We only need like 5 or so, and I'm going to actually increase the spacing. Let's go to 6. Okay, cool. So I'm going to hit apply. So now I got Beth's name 5 different ways on here. All right. We have a few different warp options. We have a standard, and let me just go one by one in here so that we're all on the same page. Okay. So we have your standard warp, which is just a free mesh warp. So I can go ahead and manipulate this design in any way that I want, or this text in any way that I want. Okay. The next one down the list is going to be exactly what Beth was asking for. This is your flag warp. So this is that wavy warp that you were looking for. So I can customize how much of a wave I get. And just like that, we can then now, let me grab Beth's name here, and we're going to go ahead and bring this onto a new page, add that there, and now what you're basically talking about is the shirts that look kind of cool like this. The fun, sorry, not that way, the fun wavy fonts. So yes, you can do that one. That is one of the warps. The other warp tool that you have in here as well is going to be your globe warp. So Beth, if I'm making you a beautiful Christmas ornament this year, I may want to warp that out a little bit to really get around the contour of that Christmas ornament, being that it's a round bulb. And so this is a great tool, and I can also adjust this to make it work for me on however I see fit. So we can kind of manipulate these as we go. The couple of last warp tools that you have available, there's a tube warp. This is like that billboard. I always say this is more like that billboard warp. So this is going to basically create an arc of the name, and I can flatten it out. This one is where I say the old Taco Bell logo. So if you're an OG Taco Bell lover, you'll remember this logo, Live Moss. With that, this is another way not to be confused with the next warp, which actually works more on a, let me bring that back down, works more on a circular path. So you have your tube warp, and then you have your circle warp. The circle warp allows you to increase the height of your design and also stretch your name out, whereas the tube warp just kind of works from a fixed position, okay? And then from there, the last one that's on the menu is our 3D warp. So if I click on the 3D warp, I can actually make Beth's name really, really stand out. So let's go ahead, do that, and do that. Check that out, Beth. That looks awesome. And if I really wanted to make this cool, make a fun design out of your name, I could copy and paste, and then I could go ahead and mirror this. Go put these two butt to butt. There we go, just like that. And now we can really play around with the dynamic of your name. That's fun. It's a Beth Menzel and then a Lesnem Thib too. That's perfect. Both ways, we're good. We got it. All right, with the other fun warp and one that I know that you guys are all going to get into. So don't yell at me right now. I'm going to show it, but we're not going to talk too much about it. Okay, just for the time being, is probably one of the fan favorites that we have in software. So let's go ahead and let's create. Let's do this cat. I like that. Phoebe from Friends really liked cats, so I like cats now. So with that, the last and final warp is my favorite. It's the cone warp. And what the cone warp is it basically creates a 3D representation of a cup for you. So let's make a little Starbucks cup out of this thing. So I can go ahead and measure the top diameter, bottom diameter, as well as the height of this thing. And then I can increase the size of my design or decrease the size of my design if I want. I can either auto position it to the center of my cup, or I have the ability to move it around. But here's the best part. And this one, Tony, I know he's in the comments. He's on our software team. He leads our software team, does an awesome job. Him and Kayla. He came to me one time. He said, check this warp tool out. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah, you can create it. And then I can also 2D unwrap it. But check out the fun part about this tool. Let's say that I have a design that's oversized on the cup, and I need to be able to see where this design lies. I can go ahead and grab that cup, and I can spin this around in real time, see every element of that cup. So I know that if I'm going to have any overlap on the seam, I know that where my design will fall in accordance to the cup, and then I can always check it, see if there's a little something in there. But I never get lucky there, but it's fine. All right, so with that, the other cool part about this is I can add this top mark. And what that does is when I hit apply, adds this little funny triangle. Well, that triangle is really important because when we actually get into making our mug or making our cup, we can take that top triangle, we can align it, grab this, we can align it with the top rim of our cup. Remember, we measured the top and the bottom, and then that design will fall perfectly into place, and we know that that warp is already made to fit in that section, so you know that it's going to work really, really well. So just a quick thing. I know I went a little too far into the weeds, but you guys are here. I love you. We're going to do this. All right, next question.
All right, well, I have to do this one again.
Okay.
Will this be safe to watch the replay?
Yes. Okay, so yes, this was a question that's been asked a couple of times. I apologize we haven't gotten to it. We're determining where we're going to house these. They're going to go up on YouTube, so we'll have a playlist. So if you're not already, I know Adam can drop the YouTube link. I'll throw it up here in a banner really quick for you too. YouTube/Siser North America. That'll be where you can see all of our content on these. There'll be a playlist there. We're actually talking about whether or not we put them in software for you guys or not. So once we get more information on that, I promise you this one, you guys will know where it goes. We'll make sure that we contact you. We'll make sure that you're aware of where this will house. But yes, you will be able to view it later on. Next question. We can take it. We can probably take 3 more or so. If we got more in there.
Let's see. This one's going back to the text tool.
Okay.
Can you reverse the direction of the text on a pad?
First, the direct. Okay, so I'm gonna show this two ways because I think I know what you're asking. Because I thought I saw a comment up a little bit earlier. Okay, so inside Leonardo, you're basically asking me when we are on the text on a path. Let's go and I'm just bring up a circle to make it easy. So we're on the text on an arc or the text on a path. This works the same in both ways. So actually, I'm going to start it on text on an arc. Let's say that I want to put Siser up top. And as you saw when I created the name sign, if I want to create the text on the bottom, I can just hit enter and hit North America, right? With that, I don't necessarily need to. I can actually bring this down and bring it around, and I can simply hit, let me really quickly go through. Sorry, my brain is thinking below only, which will now, oops, sorry, I went a little too far for the tool. I was even a little too close or too much for the tool. I can hit that below only on my artwork manipulation or my text manipulation to either do below only, above only, like we showed before, or I can do above and below, which will allow me to add multiple lines of text. Okay, so I think what you're asking is the below only. Okay, so that's exactly how you do that. There's that little option for you available right there in Leonardo. Alrighty, next question. Hopefully I answered that one to your liking. I'm sorry if I didn't.
Are you using the Pro Edition when you're showing these features?
I always open up Leonardo Pro when I show it, but I always will try to make sure that I'm letting you know. So like when I broke down to Leonardo Basic to show you that navigation, that, you know, the eraser tools were gone. Yes, that's when I'm going into Basic, but I always try to let you know what's available, what's not. If I change over my actual design board right now for you with all of my tools, I'm gonna go ahead and change over to Basic in my software. You can see that you shrink this workboard or this menu down a little bit. So we're sticking to more of our alignment tools. We also have how to treat different layers and where they're gonna go. We also have some basic tools. Now, there are some previous Pro tools that have moved over to Basic, like the tile array, because so many people had asked for it. So you can still access some of those tools, but pretty much everything I try to show you in software, when we're sticking to Basic, I try to just stick to the basics with you guys. We will do more Leonardo Pro specific subscribers. So if you're not yet, check out Leonardo Pro. If you sign up, I think you get a free 7-day trial, so you can kind of test it out, see if it's something you like. And once we get to that class, teach you everything you need to know. Make it easy on you. All righty, next question.
All right. I think this might be a good one to kind of end it.
Okay.
Will you still have the weekly Tuesday morning lives? Will After Dark always be on Thursday?
Listen, this is up to you guys. You tell me what you want. Again, I'm going to put the banner up one more time, and then we'll throw Roseanne's question up there. social@siserna.com. Let me know if the format, if you guys like the format of these lives, if you like the presentation today, please share some love in the comments. Make sure afterwards that you post about this in the Siser North America support group or in any other group so we can grow these. But yes, we will still continue to do all of the normal daily lives, weekly lives that we do. Hence, this Tuesday, we're actually launching the brand new deep cut blade. So I want to really quickly hop into software and just show you that, because I did tell you I'd show you that page. So when we were talking about the blades earlier, again, indicating the blue tip is a 60-degree blade, the red tip is your 45, and then the brand new deep cut blade. I'm just teasing it now because over on the Siser North America support page and on Siser North America over on Facebook, you can actually find the live that will be happening on Tuesday to launch the brand new tool. So we're going to go over all of it. But yes, Roseanne, I will definitely still be on the normal live schedule. We just wanted to find a really convenient way to get in front of you guys every single month or twice a month if we can, to ensure that you guys are learning all of the one-on-ones. We have so many great creators that help us out, so many awesome educators out there that are working. I mean, Ellie Mae at Swift Creek Customs, built a whole ebook. So if you haven't seen it yet, check that out over on Swift Creek Customs. But we just want to give you the one-on-ones, the basic, and then teach you kind of step by step and really go into depth. But we also wanted to do it at a convenient time. And we found out that most of you guys like nighttime, obviously, because we all are working people. So I'm going to start coming on monthly or even twice a month. Right now, I have the schedule steady on the third Thursday of every month. But if we go to a twice a month schedule, it may be the first and the third Thursday or the second and the fourth Thursday. There will always be probably a gap in between lives, at least a week. Or, I mean, sorry, in between these classes, at least like a week or so. But for now, you guys give us all the feedback you can and let us know what you thought about this class. If it was good for you, what you want to see in the next classes. Make sure, if you haven't gotten the message already, send over some designs, SVGs or PNGs. We'll look through those. I'll start adding those into lives, and we'll start just reaching out, showing you guys what you can do, and hopefully learning you a thing or two about heat transfer in the world of Siser and these cutters and everything we have amazing here at Siser. So that will conclude part 1 of Leonardo Design Studio, as well as Romeo and Juliet. For part 2, I'm going to get a little more specific into Romeo. So I'll bring Romeo up here. I'm going to also show you a little bit more of the advanced tools and some of the pro features that you can access inside Leonardo Design Studio. And give us your feedback. Let us know if there's anything else that you guys want. If you guys want to learn how to make spirit wear for your teams, you want to learn how to make jerseys, you want to learn how to do things like using rhinestones, all of that, let us know in those, because then we can come late night, we can have some fun together. So thank you guys so much. Adam, do we have any other questions? Do we have any other thing at the end of this live that we need to address? Just going through my notes just to make sure. I think we're good. Anything for you?
I think we're good.
All right.
There is one question.
One more question.
What's the Tuesday time slot and where and what?
So we go live on Facebook and on YouTube on Tuesdays, not every single Tuesday. If you follow us on Siser North America on Facebook, or you view us on YouTube, if you're a subscriber, you will see the notifications for those two. Just hit notify me, or I'm going, select I'm going, and then we'll be there. Normally it's always 12 Eastern though, 12 noon Eastern, okay, time. So I just want to make sure that indicator, but they live forever on YouTube and they live over on Facebook. So at any time that you need it, you can always hashtag replay and watch the replay of any of those past lives. The only thing that'll be closed circuit are these classes, but these will always be able to live on. I just want a convenient way for you guys to ask questions, because you know that if you have the question, the next person may have the question as well. Cool? Good deal? All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. I'm excited for round 2. Information will be posted very, very soon about the next class, as we're starting to already put it together. But thank you guys for attending Siser After Dark, episode 1. We're only going to get better. Tech, all that stuff, we're only going to get better. So stick around. Make sure you're always subscribing to Everywhere Siser North America. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Till next time, everybody. Bye.